live. Go.
All right, well, Kufar Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. This is a, oops, I got this, I'm sorry. This is a YouTube live streamed show done once a week. We're here every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Islam and Christianity. And we broadcast from the cavernous depths of the Kafir cave in Dar al-Harb, Kafiristan. I'm looking at everybody in the chat. Thank you for coming, everyone. We appreciate it so very much. All right, so today, under counsel from the show, what are we going to give title? I'm going to give this guy the show critiquer. No. The show critiquer. The show, somebody who provides advice. Consultant, the show consultant. We're going to stay away from PowerPoints today. So I've taken under advice and we're going to do that. What we're going to do today is we are going to critique Muhammad. We have not done this for quite a while, and I think people need to be reminded of who this man was, supposedly was. And I have to preface that with supposedly, because there really is no solid evidence outside the Islamic traditions that this man ever lived or was a historical human being. Well, the information that we have on him has all been developed at later times, or information that is supposedly contemporaneous with him is contradictory to the Islamic narrative. So it really, I mean, it's like chasing the tooth fairy around as far as a historical character is supposed to be concerned. And when we're talking about historical character, we're supposed to be talking about, according to some people, the most important person that has ever lived, because they have to emulate their life after this guy.
Not just the most important person, but the greatest of all mankind, the supreme of the supremes, the greatest mankind to ever walk the earth, the mercy to mankind. Okay, there is more evidence. I was just thinking about this when you said this. There is more evidence for the existence of Hercules than there is for Muhammad. I mean, you think about that, okay? But yet they claim that this man who, I'm sorry, dude. I mean, listen, it's tough for Muslims, and I get this. I mean, think about this. If you're a Muslim and you've been raised on this, and because you don't question anything that your imam or your parents or your Muslim parents tell you, but you're raised on this, and you think that this Muhammad is the greatest thing to ever happen to mankind since, oh, no comparison. I mean, not even Jesus compares to Muhammad. Muhammad is greater than Jesus, supposedly. Okay? But then you start reading the hadiths, or you hear the hadiths in the tafsirs in the biographies of Muhammad, from us lowly kafirs, and you hear this, and it's like hearing, I mean, seriously, if you believe that, let's say, Superman was real, and you believe he was really the all-American hero, and then you find out later that he was just a pedophile or a murderer, you know what I mean? You'd be devastated by this. You know what I'm saying? But we read from their Islamic sources that they deny, and they say that
It's true Islamophobia at its finest.
No, seriously,
Exactly.
we quote from them their sources, and it's Islamophobia, and they call
Swine of
us
humankind.
and they say that we're the ones who are dehumanizing them by reading from their Islamic sources. I mean, think about that. Let that sink in, people. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, okay. Well, we were just going to go through the list of the shortcomings that of this supposed prophet. And the reason why I say shortcomings is because, anybody that would engage in any of these types of activities, we would consider a reprobate, somebody that we would not follow, somebody that we would not revere, and have to put, what is it, wala salala wala yabba dabba do after his name every time we said his name. That's very problematic. Now, prior to the show, I just kind of briefly etched down 12 things that what this guy did, which would cause you to question, okay, how can this guy be a prophet of any kind? What is this?
It's going on 3 weeks now.
For what?
For Hatun being missing.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. I forgot. I have it written down right here on my sheet of paper. I forgot about that. Thank you, Darcy. Yeah, folks, keep Hatun in your prayers. She's been missing for quite a while now. Darcy says, I thought it was 2, but if it's 3, that's you probably have more information on that than I do. It's very concerning, especially this amount of time, and also the environment that we are living through right now, as far as this demonic type, these protests that are coming out almost regularly, almost on like a daily basis, where you see crowds, rampaging through streets, praising the murderers, the rapists, the torturers, the savages of Hamas, all the while denouncing the Jews for, having the temerity to actually respond when they're attacked, they're killed, their women are raped, their children are killed, people are burned to death, put in all these things. Don't you dare respond in kind like that, or let's call for a ceasefire. A ceasefire is what existed on October 7th. Hamas agreed to it October 7th. And now they want a ceasefire now that they're getting their butts handed to them. No, I'm sorry, dude. You people are going to be done away with. Your tactics of hiding behind innocent women and children are done. Those days are done. You're pieces of garbage. You're cowards. Digress, sorry. But keep Hatun in your prayers, that there isn't something nefarious going on here behind the scenes, where she's been killed or abducted or what have you. That this is just something where I don't know. I don't know, but just keep her in your prayers, please. Let me see if I got, what is this up here? Yeah, I see that. Isa. Oh no, who wrote that? That was Darcy that wrote that. I see that. We got this Shamil. You debate in other channels as Muslim, defending Islam without knowledge, and you act here as a Jew. He's a troll. I ignore him. Anyway, okay, so where were we? The things that Muhammad did. And like I said, I just scribbled down 12 of them just off the top of my head. Let's see here. He was a murderer. He murdered people and had people killed. And I was saying that after the show, I'm going to go do voodoo. I'm going to have to cleanse myself because just talking about this guy makes you sick. He was a rapist. He raped women and encouraged the soldiers to rape women. He was an adulterer. He was a thief. He was, of course, a pedophile, a sex pervert. Let me put pervert, and because that includes, all of these episodes that he had with his wives and concubines, slaves. He was an ethnic cleanser, an enslaver, a slave owner, and a slave trader. A liar. Good catch, Sharon. He was a necrophiliac. That's just icky. I mean, that's just gross. I mean, I'm gonna cry. I don't even want to talk about that one. Is it okay, Sharon? Can I just cross that off? I mean, do we? I mean, when he hops in, what did he do? Hop in the grave with his aunt or something? Or?
Yeah, he wanted to send her to Allah's heaven, so he had sex with her. But it was in their text. That's where I got it from. But,
yeah, and that's the sad part. We read this stuff straight out of their own text. I mean, this is from their own sources, Sahih sources, and then we're told that you're not looking at him.
Okay.
The beauty of him. Hold on, I'm not done, Rad. Hold on, I'm almost done. Right. That's number 9. I got 12. Let's see here. He practiced. What do we call that? Where you practice incest? You are a what? That is. Is there a word for that? Somebody practices incest. There's a word for it. I can't remember what it is.
Incest.
No, it's there's a word for it. What's this? Aladdin. Come on. Why do you come here to Isa Kabir? But last 2 weeks he had 3 live debates as Muslim defending us, and I wonder if he is a Muslim or Jew. Well, why don't you ask him? Why don't you get his email, Isa, to say, come on and talk privately at Aladdin. Isa, what? Speaks. It's interesting as a person who speaks on knowledge. You know nothing. Yeah, that's okay. All right. He tortured people. He tortured people, and he was suicidal. So these are just 12 things that we think of when we think of Muhammad. Now, but when we try to correlate those to prophets of the Bible, you can say, well, Moses was a murderer, and he murdered an Egyptian guard who was mistreating a Jew. So he's probably exacting a sense of revenge there. But I don't know if they have any other. David had killed people before. But not.
David committed adultery.
Yeah, he was an adulterer. He committed murder because he sent Uriah to the front of the arms to have him killed. So, so he can
cover up his adultery.
But here's this is great. Okay, let's just stick with the adultery thing here. First off, okay, so when I say that Muhammad was an adulterer, what I'm speaking of is when he got caught having sex with Mary the Copt in Hafsa's bed, his wife Hafsa. Now Hafsa was evidently had grown quite large at that point and was not an attractive woman. However, you still do not drag a woman into the bed of one of your wives, even though you have 11 of them. You still do not drag a slave girl. They say, oh, well, he married Mary the Copt. Well, he did marry her at a later time. This is true, but this was after the fact. So he's actually committing adultery with Mary in Hafsa's bed. What does he do?
Okay, wait. Hold on. Let me just clarify something. When we say Muhammad committed adultery, we mean he committed adultery by Islamic standards, not by our standards, because just the mere fact that he was married to more than one woman to begin with and had sexual concubines and slaves, it means he's committing adultery. But by Islam's own, okay, version of what adultery is, he committed adultery, so he should be stoned to death. But please continue, Eric. Sorry, we had to
Okay.
switch to the
No, I appreciate that clarification. Yeah. So he commits adultery with Mary the Copt in his wife's bed, and he's caught. So any man that gets caught doing that is going to be, if he has a heart at all, he's going to be repentant. And Muhammad was. I'm sorry. I promise I won't. I promise I won't do this again. However, unlike David, who went to the Lord in sackcloth and ashes and repented of his sin, Muhammad went to the Lord and got you never guess what, a revelation saying, look, who are you, Muhammad, to make promises, oaths to your wives when I have given you people, or these concubines, these slave girls like Mary the Copt? Who are you to question Allah who did this? So he gets this revelation of convenience saying that he is able to do this because you can have sex with what your right hand possesses. So unlike David, so when we started equating David, David was an adulterer. David was an adulterer. This is true. And but David went to the Lord and repented in sackcloth and ashes, meaning that he debased himself before the Lord. Muhammad went to the Lord, quote unquote, his sock puppet, and got another revelation saying it's aight. It's okay. You can do these. You can do these kind of things. And by doing so, what he's done is he's sentenced millions of women throughout 14 centuries to be abused by men in warfare. It makes it perfectly legitimate. They're perfectly legitimate. We saw this with ISIS. ISIS practicing, the Sharia, practicing the Sunnah of Muhammad. As soon as they take over a city, they grab a bunch of girls, they sell them into slavery, and they rape them. Look what the Hamas holes did to those Jewish women. In the intro, I'm going to play just the very first part of the intro. Well, maybe I don't have that because that's kind of a minute into it, and I don't want to bore everybody. But it has that girl being pulled out of the back of that Jeep, and you can see the back of her pants around her buttocks area is soiled with blood, where she had been raped. This is what they do to women when they conquer. There's stories of men raping women out at that concert before they killed them.
Well, here's the thing. To get back to the Quranic, sir, there's more to it than just what you said. Actually, if we can bring up, someone find the ayah that this is, so we can read it. That would be great if someone could post that in chat. But basically, it does more than just give Muhammad permission. Actually, it tells Muhammad, how dare you? It's actually a condemnation to Muslims. How dare any Muslim condemn something that Allah has made permissible? In other words, if a Muslim wants to have sex with this slave woman, no Muslim can say that is wrong because Allah has made it permissible. If a Muslim wants to marry in secret a second wife, how can any Muslim take, even the father of the first wife or his own parents or any Muslim take that Muslim inside and say, hey, that's just wrong? They can't do it because Allah has made this permissible. So let's read this, okay? O Prophet, why do you forbid yourself that which Allah has made lawful for you? You seek to please your wives, and Allah is forgiving, merciful. Allah indeed has sanctioned for you the expiations of oath, and Allah is your protector, and He is your knowing, the wise.
Yeah, and okay, then when you look at what Al-Jalalain has to say about it, in terms of your Coptic handmaid, Mary the Copt, when he lay in the house of Hafsa, who had been away, upon returning, finding out, became upset the fact that this had taken place in her own house, in her own bed, by saying, she is unlawful for me, seeking by making her unlawful to you, please your wives, and God is forgiving. And then you have this hadith saying, is narrated that the messenger of Allah had a female slave whom he had intercourse, but Aisha and Hafsa would not leave him until she said that they were forbidden. Then Allah, prophet, what is forbidden? Okay, so they make her make the marry the cop forbidden, but then where do they get? Hold on, where is it? Allah Mighty Sublime, why do you forbid female slave with whom he had intercourse? But Aisha, house would not leave him alone until they said that she was forbidden. Okay, let me flip back to this. Flip back. I'm gonna find this. This wasn't the right one. Sorry, but this is no. Let me rephrase that. That does not explain what happened later, where he gets a subsequent revelation. Let's see here. Muhammad wife's Hafsa.
Well, either way, you see this, okay? Very clearly, Allah is saying you cannot forbid what Allah has made permissible. So no Muslim can actually criticize another Muslim if he takes on 4 wives, if he divorces his wife just by saying.
Oh yeah, that is the same. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. So it is 66:1. It says, "Why do you forbid that which Allah has made lawful for you? You seek to please your wives. Allah is forgiving. Indeed, it sanctioned for you expiation of your oaths." So expiation of the oath, it means that you don't have to fulfill your oath, because he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I sinned. I committed adultery." But then he gets this revelation from Allah saying, "Well, why are you doing that? I gave you this woman." This is sick. This is Muhammad. This is Islam at its core.
And he is a perfect example, and this is in the Holy Quran, the eternal Quran, that, well, 1, Muslim men can have sex with their slave women. 2, men can marry multiple wives. 3, Muslim men do not have to please their wives. Because notice it says you wish to seek to please your wife instead of pleasing Allah. In other words, the wives did not want him to have sex, okay, with well, not just slave woman, come on, a Christian slave woman. How dare he when he has the Muslima princesses? You know what I mean? But either way, okay, here Allah is saying, no, you don't please your wives, okay, by forbidding what I have made permissible to you. No. It is not pleasing. In other words, let's do the inverse. Allah is saying, it is not pleasing to me that you deny yourself the sexual pleasures that I have given you in order to please your wives. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But either way, every Muslim man can do this now. This is the perfect example to mankind.
Have you guys ever been told by Muslims when you when you do say stuff like that we've been misinterpreting and that we need to go to an imam and be taught what the Quran says? I mean, I've been told, because I've been to these interfaith dialogues, yeah. That's how they get away, or they think they get away with it,
I was actually, it was funny. This is a long time ago. I remember this in Bell Talk. I was in this chat with this one Muslim revert, and I forgot what I was unleashing her, but I was leashing on her hadith in Tafsir. And she said, no, listen, let me pull this guy into this chat. He's a Muslim. He will explain it to you. Okay, I'm just a new revert, but I can't explain it to you. So she gets this guy to come into the chat. And basically, dude, I'm serious. This is the way it goes. Okay. 1, okay, you can't understand the Quran without reading the hadiths. So I quote him the hadiths that are explaining the Quran. He says, no. You do not understand. You cannot understand the hadith unless you understand the Quran. And I said, wait a second, you just told me I can't understand the Quran unless I understand the hadiths. He said, yes, exactly. But you cannot understand the hadith or the Quran unless you speak Arabic. And I said, okay, do you speak Arabic? And he said, no. I said, okay, so then why should I understand your explanation? He said, well, the reason why is because I had to trust him that he is getting the true explanation from someone who understands Arabic. And I'm like, you have got to be freaking kidding me, dude. Are you this brainwashed? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah. I've heard stuff from them I can't even believe sometimes. Okay.
But it's just total circular reasoning. Okay, so if that happens, you're in interfaith dialogue. Say no, you have to go to the imam. Then you say, is there an imam here? Then, or better yet, if there is no imam here, then why are we having this interfaith dialogue without an imam? And then when you do address the imam, make sure you have all your stuff together. But the imam will just say, like I said, they'll say, you don't understand the Arabic. It actually says something more profound, better meaning in Arabic. And then if you ask them, do you speak Arabic? They'll lie and say yes. And then you can kind of confront them with an actual. I would come with an actual, just a straight move in Arabic or the Hadith in Arabic and say, go ahead, read this for me. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 they won't be able to. You know, when they say they understand Arabic, they understand how to recite a few words, and that's it. It's their charm, it's their mojo, it's their talisman, if you will. It's as Isa likes to say, it's the magic hands, you know, the holy one. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt while you were interrupting, but go ahead.
Okay, so do we need to discuss anything else about being an adulterer? It's confirmed in the Hadith, confirmed in the Quran, and there's attestation in the Tasfir saying that this is what happened. He got caught having sex, made a promise to his wives that he'd never do it again. The sex was adultery, making him an adulterer. And again, he's supposed to be the mercy of mankind, the example for everybody to follow. His sunnah, his example you're supposed to follow. There you go. All right. What do you guys want to do next? How about a murderer? You want to do that one? Murderer?
I want to go back to the sex with the woman in the grave.
No, we're not doing. No, I'm not doing that. We're not. I'm not doing. No. This. Come on. Let's just. I mean, we can talk about all kinds of other things. We don't want to. That's just icky. I don't want to do that. That's no.
Yeah, but that's no, because you misunderstand Kafir. He was just comforting her. That's
she was dead.
Who amongst us? Who amongst us would not want to get into the grave with one of our dead loved ones and comfort them? That's just normal behavior, right? For someone who's not normal. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. But let's go on to murder then. Okay, fine. So,
all right.
Sex with dead. You know, your morality is kind of weird, Eric. Sex with dead people bothers you, but murder people doesn't.
Warped sense of morality.
I'm sorry, Eric, for bringing that up earlier. I am.
I'm holding you personally responsible for that. Hold on. Let me write this down here in my notebook. Here, Sharon brought it up to begin with. Make sure we make a note of that. Next time we get any suggestions, let's make sure that we don't ask Sharon first off. And when we get anyway. All right.
Well, I was just going to bring up the Bible verse that says children should not play with dead things. You know what I mean? No, it's actually, there's a Bible verse, right, in Deuteronomy, or is it Leviticus, where it actually says, do not touch dead things.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You know, and if you do, when you are part of the burial of your dead relatives, you have to go through a special purity. You don't jump in the grave with them. I'm just saying. But I'm sorry.
Sick. Yeah. Okay, let's go to this one here. All right, these are a list. I don't know if it's a comprehensive list of the number of murders that Muhammad ordered, and I've been through this before. And let me preface this. Many of these murders that were committed at Muhammad's behest were done because of people criticizing him as a prophet. He had people killed because they criticized him. This is the thin skin, and this is what we see today. This is what we see in today's, even in contemporary culture. What happens to people when they criticize Muhammad? Ergo, Charlie Hebdo. You can Aisha Bibi in Pakistan, where she dared to say that Muhammad wasn't a prophet, so they threw her in prison, gave her the death sentence, and then let her go. And people, rioted and killed each other over it instead of killing her. That makes all the sense in the world. But this is what happens. And if you also look at the application today, I mean, I was watching this week's what do they call David Wood and Robert Spencer? What do they call that live stream they do? This Week in Jihad or something like that. Am I right on that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, This Week in Jihad. David Wood made a really good point in this week's show. He said, you notice that anytime that there's an attack on a Muslim, people will stand up and scream bloody murder, scream Islamophobia right from the beginning. Because it was these people are Islamophobes, okay? But then you turn around and you have a Muslim attack a non-Muslim, then you have all of these people screaming, now, wait a second, don't jump to conclusions. We have to find out what the evidence shows. And it happens almost daily, where Muslims are attacking non-Muslims. It occurs almost daily. Whereas on the other side of the coin, it hardly ever happens. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It does happen occasionally, but not on a daily basis. And the same leaps to judgment are made. If you are a Muslim and you do it, everybody says, don't jump to conclusions here, or don't assume that it was because of his religion. But then if you have a Christian do it, it's already or a Christian or a Jew doing it, it's automatically assumed that they're an Islamophobe, and they're doing, ergo the rocket that went into that hospital, so-called, in the Gaza Strip. So it's bizarro world is what it is. But when we look at what Muhammad did to people who criticized him, we have over, let me put this back up here. We have over, I don't know how many instances here. Let me make this bigger so you can see some of the instances here. But the majority of them are for people who criticized him. And it's like 40 some odd people, I think it was. Let me go to the bottom of this. This is on Wiki Islam, if you want a source for it. 44. And it tells you, why these people were killed, why he had them killed. And so if you have somebody killed, you are just as complicit in the murder as the person who pulls the trigger, shoves the knife, or what have you in these cases here. He was so thin-skinned that he would have people murdered, to include a nursing mother, of all people, a nursing mother, has her killed, has two slave girls killed for reciting poetry that criticized him.
The nursing mother one is very disturbing, because the killer, the assassin, it's reported, when he went into the tent to murder her, I believe, she was actually nursing her child, and he had the child away from her breast to stab her through the heart. Think about that. That's some cold-blooded, steely-eyed killer stuff right there, dude.
Yeah, and what did Muhammad say about that too?
He said no one will something about two goats or something like that, or
two goats wouldn't butt their heads about it. Nobody cared. Yeah.
Well, no, that's the thing. If you look at all the people he had murdered, see, Muhammad was a political genius, okay, of his time, if he did exist. If you look at it, all the people he had murdered and killed, they were of weaker tribes. No one would complain because they couldn't complain, because they were weak in the tribal hierarchy. So he could do to them whatever he wanted to do, okay? But if there was someone else in a higher level tribe that complained and said bad things about him, he would leave him be, because he had to leave him be until he got more powerful than that tribe, and then he quickly dispatched with them. Or they all of a sudden saw the errors of their way, and they converted to Islam because they found it more profitable than losing their life to another false god. Seriously, think about this: living for a false god as opposed to dying for a false god. Which one would you rather choose? It's just common sense. And this is why Christianity spread through true martyrs, okay? Because, and this is why the Gnosticism and all these weird cults that the Muslims like to bring up as the true Christians, that even though they're the true Christians, according to Muslim apologists, they didn't believe a damn thing that the Muslims say they should believe as true Christians. But either way, this is why they died out, because quite frankly, they were not willing to die for their stupidity. I'm just saying. I mean, it's one thing to live for a false god. It's another thing to die for a false god. That is a very rare thing indeed. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but please
Oh,
continue.
okay, what I was going to put here's the Banu Qurayza tribe, where there was over 600 people beheaded in one day, and there's multiple sources. There's multiple sources attesting to this, that Muhammad participated in this genocide. So I have to. Okay, so this is going to cover the ethnic cleansing part of it. Isa, can you come up on mic? Are you there?
I'm here. What's up?
What's going on with Aladdin here? What's his malfunction?
I have no idea. If he wants to talk to me, he could talk to me privately. This is your show.
What is he? What is his beef here? Is something about your mom or something?
I have no idea. The thing is, I have my own things that I do. I have my own life that I'm doing. We've had discussions on the show.
Well. You have a life outside of my show. You have a life outside. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
that is haram. That is haram.
Oh my God!
Right.
So there are different perspectives on different things. We've already discussed this on the show. You are talking about a certain thing, and that's it. And if he wants to discuss the show, that's what he should be discussing, and not be discussing anything else. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of surprised that he's up this late, because when I was editing the show before, he said I can't do it because you're on so late. I can't do that. I'm on the other side of the world, and then yet he trolls the chat frequently. I mean, this isn't
it's hard for him to understand because it takes him a while to grasp what you're saying. So if I'm saying something now, he'll understand it 2 hours from now, maybe.
Is it a language barrier with him, or is it he's just
no? It's intellect.
Okay. All right. I don't think have we had him on this? We've had him on the show before, haven't we? Have we had him on the show?
Let's not repeat the experience. I'd rather have Marshall on or Kenny on than
no. Not
Kenny. Not Kenny.
Yeah, not Kenny.
No. Marshall. Yeah.
What is this? He's an old man. Oh, and you're not, Ed. Come on now.
He could have came on the Biden Express plan to the United States of America.
He could come in here and come on the show. Okay. All right. So we So we got adulterous, murderer. Let's talk about this ethnic cleansing thing a little bit more. And the reason why I want to focus on that a little bit more is because of the ethnic cleansing that has gone on for centuries after Muhammad had died, and people were just following his Sunnah, his example of ethnic cleansing entire countries of non-Muslims. And when we think about this Palestinian Israeli issue today, and they're saying, well, the Israelis are committing genocide against the Palestinians, which they're not. And if they were, they're the worst committers of genocide in human history, because the Palestinian population has grown from just a couple 100,000 to 2.5 million. They're in Gaza alone, So genocide is not the word to use. And I know they want to throw it out there because it sounds so profound, but if they were even if they were committing genocide, even if they were ethnic cleansing the land, wouldn't they also be following the Sunnah of Muhammad? Isn't this what Muslims have done for centuries to virtually every country that they've gone into, that they've invaded? Is this, if you look at, let's say, Turkey as an example, how many Armenians used to live in the eastern province of Turkey versus how many are there now? I don't hear any complaints about ethnic cleansing Christians out of there. I don't hear any complaints about ethnic cleansing Jews out of the Middle Eastern countries right after the establishment of the country of Israel. I don't hear any complaints about that kind of ethnic cleansing. when
Yeah,
it was
but I
actual
don't think
ethnic
I
cleansing.
really don't think they grasp what a particular race is. And they're thinking Muslim is a race.
Well, that if you ethnically cleanse, you're ethnically cleansing a race or a religion or another. You pick a group of people. So
Right, but they're lumping everyone in, you know, Christians, they're only white people kind of thing.
yeah,
They don't grasp.
right. That's a constant attribution of if you're white then you're Christian type thing, or if you're Arab you can't be Christian. But what I'm saying is that the Christian populations and the Jewish populations have been cleansed from these lands that were predominantly Christian and Jewish, predominantly Zoroastrian up in Persia. They were out within a century. So when you look at what they have done to other people groups across the globe for over 1,000 years, we don't hear boo about that. Or if you bring that up, you're called an Islamophobe. Or if you bring up their motivation or their justification for doing what they did to the Israelis, you're called a hater, you're called a bigot. But on the other side, you can sit here and cite what Muhammad did to people. You can sit here and cite all of the Jew hatred and the verses that we've done here previous on the show. I've read the laundry list of verses that show that Muhammad was an anti-Semitic pig. And in doing so, you can see where the anti-Semitism is profoundly, or is almost, what's the word I'm looking for? So it's widespread across the Muslim world. And the reason why is because of what Muhammad did, his Sunnah. So when you bring these things up and you can show that, hey, look, they have done these things, but yet they're the first ones that sit there and start barking and snorting about, when it's done to them. It's again, this is the cowardice, and this is what I think. When you engage in this faith system and you engage in a critique of, this is the cowardice that you get. It turns people into intellectual cowards, thinking, oh, you can't criticize Muhammad, you can't criticize Islam. If you do, you're a hater, you're a bigot, you're a phobe of some sort. Well, you know what? We're going to do it here every week on the show if we want to, and there ain't a darn thing that you can do to stop it. What is this here? What is this, Dragon? Stupidity is amazing. I was saying Abdul's for one who said Usama, sinless and peaceful. TikTok deleted my message. It's mobbing against their community. Yeah, exactly. We were talking about that with Dr. Kufar Phobia getting banned from TikTok. Have you got? Is anybody else here on TikTok? Anybody in the chat on the panel?
I listened to the Orange Men. The Orange Men said TikTok bad, so I don't go to
I'm
TikTok.
there. I work out. I work out on TikTok.
You work out what?
Like exercise, like push-ups, sit-ups.
How many push-ups can you do? How many push-ups can you do in 2 minutes?
I'm working on doing a challenge. I'm doing one each day, like an extra one. So I started with doing 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and I'm going to try to get up to as many as I can.
What?
So I'm doing maybe a 100-day challenge. So I can.
How many push-ups can you do in 2 minutes?
I mean, I haven't seen. I've been able to do like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. Like.
All right. I tell you what. Let me set my clock here.
You'll see it. You'll be able to see
No,
it.
right here. Turn your camera on, gunfighter. Let's go.
You want me to put my gun? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I
was like, all right, I'll hit some down if you want.
The thing with push-ups, it's technique too. It isn't just being able to, but you have to have a technique to where because if you're doing it for time, you have to think about, okay, how far does your body have to travel? And if you get your arms out wider, the way I always did it, because in the Army, they said that your elbow or your upper arm had to be parallel with the ground. So when you push down and you come back up, it had to be at least parallel with the ground. Well, if you get your arms out wider, you only have to travel about 5 or 6 inches. But if you got them in closer, you got to go a good foot, maybe 1.5 feet. So it's about technique too. I used to, when I was in, they give you a PT test. We had to do do that for 2 minutes, and I was up around 90.
But
at
how
my
many
peak.
one-handed push-ups can you go alternating and then clap your hands?
Well, we didn't have to do that when I took the ASVAB exam because I was applying for the military, and we had to do duck walks and stuff. And
They changed the test. They changed the PT test. It was push up, sit up, 2 mile run, and I could run like the wind. I could run 2 miles in 11 minutes. Push ups, sit ups. I was just skinny. Skinny guys aren't very good at sit ups, so I'd only do about 65, 70 sit ups. But push ups, run, I could do.
That's awesome.
Okay, but why are you on TikTok? Don't you know that the Chi-Coms are operating that? They're getting all your personal information, or don't you care? Are you a collaborator with them or what?
I think they're just going to see me with. I have hip hop songs, pop songs, and me doing exercises. So
well, they're in your other stuff too, though. They'll be able to access your other platforms, and they'll be able to spy on you.
See,
I think in this globalized world, they can kidnap people will spy, and they'll do all that stuff.
Fight Chinese colonialism. Don't be on TikTok. I'm just saying. It's Chinese colonialism.
Okay, look at Dragon. Dragon is on TikTok too. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have to kick her out of those Skype groups that we're in. This woman sends us the most wonderful messages and pictures every single day of encouragement. I love this woman and what she does for us. You wake up in the morning, you're like, and then you bring up the Skype, and she has, the message for that, and she's like 6 hours ahead of us, so she can keep.
Hold on a second. No, she does this stuff when I'm sleeping in. Okay, and all of a sudden I get ding, ding, ding. This is the one. This is the one. No, seriously, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, who's messing me? Oh, okay. And then I'm
Dragon. Yeah. But when she sent the one this morning with the snow, was it the snow one that was that this morning? Or was that yesterday morning? And it was like, oh, this is so peaceful. Okay, now you always notice that you get pictures of snow and how peaceful snow is and all this in November and December. You notice these snow drifts never appear as being beautiful and peaceful in like March or April. Everybody's sick of the snow. It's always at the beginning of the year. Oh, snow is wonderful, and
Florida.
Yeah.
Did you guys see? Wait. Did you guys see? Okay. In Europe is under a blizzard now. They're under like a real winter, like from like the 1940s.
Well, that's where you got it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so these billionaire climate activists, okay, like John Kerry, all their private jets were grounded in Munich. Okay, like 80 of them, including John Kerry.
Really?
Yeah, their private jets were grounded in Munich when they were on their way to Dubai to talk about global warming and how it's going to destroy the world.
I saw that article.
And they're snowed in, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you keep that stuff there in Europe where it belongs. I, for one, am a proud supporter of global warming. I burn unleaded gas just because I can.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, let's get back to this, right? Okay, so a rapist. So let's do this one. Does Islam allow the raping of female captives? Now I'm just pulling these up from Answering Muslims website, so it isn't like I know these off the top of my head, but there are all kinds of verses out there that allow the raping. Okay, so we're done with murder, we're done with ethnic cleansing, we're done with adultery, raping. So let's go ahead and pull this up. It's Noah Key. Let me bring this back. Whoops, wrong one. Don't want to invite. Screen share. Answering Muslims. Does it allow for? Okay, 23 verses 1-6. Believers must win through those who humble themselves in the prayers and avoid vain talk or active deeds of charity, who abstain from sex, except those joined to them in marriage bond or what their right hand possesses. So if you have a slave girl, you can have sex with her. Well, what does that mean? I mean, is that consensual? If you are having non-consensual sex, that is called that's what we call rape today. Am I right? Am I wrong on this, guys? Am I wrong on, am I right or am I wrong on this? Non-consensual sex is considered rape today. And this is being sanctioned by the God of the universe. When we think, if this was just the writings from a man, if the Quran was supposed to be just considered a man-made document, would this be, acceptable? Well, in some cultures, at some points in time, if you went out and you conquered another people, yeah, you could go. It's perfectly legal for the men to go out and kill all the, or your soldiers go out and kill all the men, and you take all of their women, their wives, and their daughters, and they are your sex slaves. That was part of warfare. Some part of warfare in the past. And now you have God, the God of the universe, sanctioning that type of behavior. Does that sound
from
like
Allah?
Does that sound like something from the Bible? And I know by asking that question, people are going to go, well, what about the Jews capturing those women when they conquered villages before? And that's fair. That's a fair accusation. However, if you look at the processes that are, let's say the Jews go out and they conquer a certain tribe, kill all the men. So what are you to do with the women? Are you to say, okay, well, go fend for yourselves now? Or do you absorb those women into your tribe and have them become part of your family? And if they do become part of your family, is it allowable? Is it permissible to eventually marry one of them and then engage in relations with them? And there are provisions that allow that in the, I think it's the book of Leviticus. I might be wrong on that, but there are provisions for that. Who's this?
I have it right here. Right here.
Okay.
So
ahead.
This is Deuteronomy 21.
Here we go.
There's something. Okay, marrying female captives. When you go out to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God gives them into your hand, and you take them captive, and if you see among the captives beautiful women, and you desire to take her to be your sex slave, no, to be your wife.
Oh, so it doesn't say what your right hand possesses. That's not what it says.
No concubine. Yeah.
Okay.
And you bring her home to your house. You shall, now this is people don't understand this. You're going to shave her head and pare her nails. So you're going to make her, the woman's beauty is in her hair, especially in biblical times, right? Okay. So you're going to totally shave her head. Okay. You're going to take off her nails. So you're going to make her sort of somewhat undesirable. And she shall take off the clothes which she was captured, and she remain in your house and lament her father and her mother for a full month. Now, by the way, there are other verses that say she's going to put on sackcloth. Actually, does this say this? Okay, no, it doesn't. But there are other translations that have her in sackcloth and doing the whole ashes on her head thing, mourning wise. You know what I mean? Okay, mourning and ashes. I mean, no, she is to be given time, a whole month to mourn because, her mother and father were killed. Okay, all right, in the battle, in the war. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, or unlike in Islam, where Muhammad paraded his sex slaves out in front of the dead corpses of their husbands and brothers, and then married the one that night and had sex with her. Right? What's it, Sophia or whatever, the Jew? Okay. But anyway, as you can just see the total difference. But let me get back to the verse here. Okay. Okay. And after that, you may go into her and be her husband, and she shall be your sex slave, concubine, right hand possesses. No, shall be your wife. And here is the kicker. But if you no longer delight in her, you shall let her go where she wants. But you shall not sell her for money, nor shall you treat her as a slave, since you have now humiliated her by divorcing her. Well, it doesn't say by divorcing her, but that's pretty much what that
Well, you
means.
humiliated by
Okay.
shaving her head is what you did.
Well, shaving her head, deflowering her, marrying her, and then divorcing her. But either way, she's not what your right hand possesses. You cannot resell her into sexual slavery like Muslims can do. You cannot trade her off to someone else like we are seeing what is happening with the so-called captives, the female captives that Hamas is taking. They're trading them off now, okay, to various groups, just like ISIS did. Okay. But either way, do you see the difference? Okay. Do you see the difference? And again, remember, this is in what, 1500 BC? Okay. This is 3,500 years ago, right? For at a time, I mean, seriously, when it comes to giving laws to these men of the Levant, these men of the desert, these men of well, no, actually, they would be Bronze Age men, but they were barely out of the Copper Age. You know what I mean? Barely out of the Stone Age. Only a few thousand years out of the Stone Age. Okay, these are not. I mean, seriously, and yet you have at this point in time better laws. Okay, when it comes to treating female captives of war than you do in Islam, which was roughly 1400 years ago, after the time of empire, multiple empires, okay, including Rome, Persia, okay, not to mention the Egyptians, where this is in the time of the Egyptians, or the Hittites, okay, but no, these desert Arabs came up with something uh, over 2,000 years later that was more primitive, okay, than what was come up with, basically in the Levant, 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago. In other words, Islam went backwards. Do you understand that Islam went totally backwards by more than 3,500 years? This is disgusting.
Yes.
Uh,
Okay. Let's take a look what else it has to say here, because you had two verses up here sanctioning it, and those who guard their chastity except their wives, or except with their wives, and the captives whom their right hand possesses. And then the Quran 33:50, we have made lawful to your wives whom you have given their dowries, and those whom your right hand possesses out of those whom Allah has given you as prisoners of war. So these women can be raped, making Muhammad a rapist. But on top of that, he sanctions rape, the raping of women. You go to Sahih Muslim. Let's see. They took captive. They took captive excellent Arab women, and we desired for them were we suffering absence for our wives. We also desired a ransom for them, so we decided to have sexual intercourse with them, but by observing Azal, which is coitus interruptus, is what it is. But we said we are doing an act whereas messenger is amongst us. Why not ask him? So we asked Allah's messenger, and he said, "It does not matter if you do it, for every soul that has been born up the day of resurrection will be born." So what he's basically saying is that you can go ahead and rape them. Go ahead. And if they become pregnant, well, then that is Allah's business.
so
Again,
wonderful, so wonderful, so peaceful,
yeah.
so
How
beautiful.
do we quote us about really protected? It's better for you not to sue for the soul the day of the resurrection. Okay. And then said that this cannot prevent that which Allah has decreed. And there's also another, let's see, women aren't except those whom your right hand possesses. Where is the one where it says that there was a hadith that where the soldiers were concerned that they were going to rape these women. I mean, they're concerned about this, but their husbands were still alive. And Muhammad said that it's perfectly permissible to do that, even if their husbands are there, because by virtue of being taken as a prisoner in war, you are automatically divorced.
Well, isn't that's actually in the Traveler, the reliance of the Traveler.
It is.
It
Yeah.
says
Oh,
that.
that's
Yeah,
right. It
yeah,
is.
you can pull that
Hold
up.
on. Hold on.
But
Let me
I want you
get
guys.
Wilbur here. Hold on. Let me get
Go
Wilbur
ahead.
off.
Go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it. I'll continue talking over you while I'm interrupting. Please
Yep.
stop talking while I'm interrupting. It's very annoying.
Yes.
But no, think about this. Okay, so he just had up the Sahih Hadiths. They were Sahih, right? They weren't
These are Sahih. Yeah.
Sahih Hadiths. He's now going to go to the Shafi school, the reliance of the Traveler, and what's interesting is Muslims will sit there and say, when we quote these Islamic
It's
sources
true
that we're
Islamophobia at its finest.
yeah we're the ones that are the Islamophobes by quoting their Islamic sources, because to them we're
Swine of
just
humankind.
yeah but yeah,
where is it?
so
Yeah, but according to Sharia law, we're forbidden to criticize anything Islamic. In fact, so are they. But in Sharia, this is what I'm getting from Paul on his videos. Sharia abrogates Allah. I found that funny.
this does Hadith abrogates Quran, even though it explains the Quran, but
Yeah.
it also advocates the Quran. I mean, no, they just have this hodgepodge, this made up religion, where they just totally made it up. Seriously, it is, as David Wood says, the most obvious false prophet ever. As other people have said, the worst idea of all times is Islam. But I do want to ask this. Who is it? Said that it's summer where they're at.
It's
Andrew.
Andrew. He's in Australia or New Zealand, one of the two, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I was just wondering because
He's just rubbing it in. Yeah, he's just making us all
he
feel miserable.
sucks. Yeah.
Okay, page 604, Reliance of the Traveler. Reliance of the Traveler, Division O, Chapter 9, item number 13. It says, when a child or woman is taken captive, they become slaves by the fact of capture, and the woman's previous marriage is immediately annulled.
Wow, wait, annulled, not divorced. So annulled means it never happened.
It's annulled means it's done away with.
Well, no, it's more than annulled means more than done away with. It means, this is very important. We would have to ask an Arabic speaker if that's the correct translation. But if it's annulled, that means it didn't happen. Then that means that the children, okay, from this marriage, okay, are no longer products of this marriage. Do you see what I'm saying? No, there's more to it than if it's annulled. That means they're children. Then, oh my God, no, that is even more disgusting. Okay.
Right. Well, the fact is that they can rape them. They can rape them.
Exactly.
That gives them permission to do that.
Right.
Now, when we go into item number 14, it says when an adult male is taken captive, the caliph considers the interest and decides between the prisoner's death, slavery, release without paying anything, or ransoming in exchange for money or for a Muslim captive held by the enemy. So you have 4 different things here that you can do. If the prisoner becomes a Muslim, if the prisoner becomes a Muslim, then he may not be killed, and one of the other 3 alternatives is chosen. So if he becomes a Muslim, then you can still ransom him. You can still make him a slave, and you can let him go. You can let him go without the payment of ransom. Reliance of the Traveler. That's your Sharia.
Yeah. So how many times do you think someone was just let go without payment?
I don't know. I would hope that there. I would hope that there would be people with decency. And here's what we say frequently on the show. Most of your modern Muslims are more moral than what Muhammad was. Have a higher sense of decency and morality than what Muhammad had. And when you throw this in their face and you say, look what your prophet did, they never want to defend it. They never, because you can't defend some of these things that this man had done. And this last one was raping, the sanctioning of rape, the capturing of women and turning them into sex slaves. And when we talk about sexual slavery, and a lot of people will, and we hear this often in the United States because of the experience our country has had with slavery, how slave masters would often rape their slaves. And this is true. I don't know how often it occurred or how frequent it was in the antebellum South, but the fact is that it did happen, and it happened more than once, and it is reprehensible. It's a heinous thing to do, to force a woman, regardless of the condition that she is in, whether she's a slave or just out on the street or whatever, to force her into something like that. It's sick. But then to turn around and say that this is somehow sanctioned by God, is somehow an example to follow because some 7th century ethnic cleansing, genocidal, raping, murdering, adultery, all these things that you could apply, did it, is absolutely absurd. It's crazy to think that. So when we sit here and we say, okay, Muhammad was a rapist. Not only was he a rapist, but he also sanctioned the raping of women. He sanctioned the slavery. We're going to get into this next because this kind of ties in. The enslavement of people, not just basically owning slaves, which is bad enough. And I think we here in the West would completely agree that the Western experience, whether it was the United States or with the majority of the slaves were shipped to Spanish plantations and into Central and South America. But even with the Western or the European experience with slavery, it was mainly for labor. And I've said this several times. 2 out of every 3 slaves that went across the Atlantic Ocean, the Atlantic slave trade, were men. And they were meant to perform manual labor on these large plantations to enrich white European men in trading, whether it's sugarcane, tobacco, or cotton, or whatever, whatever the cash crop of the day was, and that's what they were used for that. Whereas if you track the Islamic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade that went eastward, which was twice as many slaves over a much longer period of time, 2 out of every 3 that went east were women. And the reason why they were women is because they would use these women in these harems of these sultans and these sheikhs and these mullahs or whatever, and they would rape them. And if they would have children as a result of these marriages, those children were almost always killed. This is why you do not have despite the fact that you had millions of African slaves sent eastward, you do not have the descendants of these slaves in these countries that they were sent to. So when we start talking about the experience with slavery, Muhammad owned slaves. So let's do this one. Does anybody have anything you want to say about the rapists? Have we beat that horse to death? We need to talk.
Yeah, I think we have, but just want to remind everybody to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, ring the bell, do what you got to do, comment, whatever. It really does help us. And of course, get people to subscribe to us. I'm just saying, because we need subscribers. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to find the slave part of this. I'm sorry.
I read a book kind of sort of recently, and a lot of people forget about the white slavery because before the Crusades were called, there's like 300-400 years of basically they would just decimate whole towns. They would kill the men, the boys with hair, kidnap the women and children, do what they do with them, and basically rape them and then sell them. They would actually get more money for the white slavery. The book is called White Gold, but yeah, it was pretty bad. pretty bad in
Do they
Europe.
have like some type of saying about women with the yellow hair or something where they?
Yeah,
I
I don't remember
Actually,
all the details, but yeah, they got more
actually,
money.
that reminds me. Here's a fun fact from history. So, slavery was outlawed by the British. No, here's the funny thing about slavery in America. Just to point this out, Britain forced slavery on the colonies. In other words, when we were just colonies, the 13 colonies, 9 of them tried to pass anti-slaving laws, and the British government, the UK government, said no. King George says no because I'm making a lot of money off this. You must have slavery. Okay, so it was forced on us. But after
Let
the
me say
Civil
something.
War,
Let me say something
I'm
about
sorry.
that real quick. Let me say something
Yeah,
about that real
sure,
quick,
sure,
Red.
sure.
You had the colonists, the colonial assemblies that
Mhm.
existed in the original 13 colonies would
Mhm.
pass. They would pass laws banning slavery in the colony, in their
Yes.
colonies, and the king would veto those laws that they
Yep.
passed. The king said, "No, you can't
Yep.
ban slavery." So, just as soon as the Declaration of Independence was signed, 7 of the 13 colonies banned slavery in those colonies. Let me just
Exactly.
make sure people understand that.
Not only that, but okay. So when the Declaration of Independence was written, they had an agreement that if it was line by line, it was the indictment against King George. So this is an indictment. It was line by line, okay. And if one colony objected to one representative of the colony objected to one of the lines, just one, it was stricken because they had to have 100% unanimous agreement. Okay, they had to be 100% agreed on every single line by line indictment. And one of the things in the original draft of the Declaration of Independence was King George forced upon us slavery. Okay? And we do not want slavery. There were 2 colonies, I think it was South Carolina and maybe Virginia, okay, that objected to that line and it was removed. Okay, if you read the original, the original
He has
draft of
waged
Declaration.
cruel war. This is what he
Yeah,
wrote. He has waged cruel
yeah.
war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred right. Let me put this up on the screen.
Mhm.
No, that's not it. Sorry. Let me put this up. I want to make sure people can see this so they can read along with me. Thomas Jefferson, here we go. He has waged cruel war against human nature, self-violating the most sacred rights of liberty, life and liberty in the persons of a distant people. You can't read that. Let me make it bigger. Persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation, meaning that they died crossing the ocean. This piratical warfare, the opprobrium of infidel powers, is the warfare of the Christian king of Great Britain. He has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or to restrain the execrable commerce, determining to keep open a market where men should be bought and sold, and that assemblage of horrors might know or might not want no fact of distinguished die. So yes, this was in the original draft of the Declaration of Independence that
And it was removed. I'm sorry, it wasn't Virginia because he was a representative of Virginia, so it couldn't have been him that voted against it. I think it was South Carolina. It was one other, I believe, but it definitely wasn't more than 2. Okay, that voted to have that removed. Okay, and remember, okay, you can say it should have been in there. Yes, it should have been in there, but remember, they had to be totally 100%
well, this was
united.
this okay. This
Yeah.
this was brought up. There was a committee of 5 that was appointed to write the Declaration. Franklin, Benjamin Rush, John Adams. I can't remember all 5 of them were, but they were. And when they went to write this, this had to. It wasn't just Virginia. I mean, this had to be approved by the First Continental Congress.
Yeah, all 13 colonies.
The second Continental Congress, and I'm not exactly sure if it lists who
It was. I
voted
know.
against
I'm
it.
pretty sure it was South Carolina. I mean, we'd have to look that, but that's neither here nor there for right now. Okay.
Okay.
But the bottom line is this. Okay. Even in the United States, well, the not United States of America. It was very well known that this was forced upon us by the British King. Okay. This depravity, this inhumanity. Okay, to man. Okay. All right. But okay, it was still then permissible in the South, blah blah blah. But here's the funny thing: the British Kingdom, because of Christian influence, they actually outlaw slavery in what about 30, 40 years later,
1832. 1832.
1832.
I
Not only
believe it's
that,
the
but the British government, they were going and they were raiding slave ships, and they were freeing slaves.
right. They were
They were
raiding the west coast of Africa. They were yeah
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, they were. Yeah, they were not putting up with this. Okay, I mean they ended slavery, and we kept it going on here because no, we also outlawed it. We outlawed the importation of slavery when the British government said, we're not doing this," because that would have been a conflict, and then we would have got our ship seized. But anyway, that's beside the point. But
1834. I'm
anyways,
sorry, I was off by
yeah,
2 years.
yeah,
1834.
okay. Well, either way, bottom line is this: slavery, and then finally, the United States of America, we fought a bloody civil war to end slavery. There is no other nation that has done that. Now, you can look at this in two parts. First of all, yeah, no other nation did this because they didn't want to fight to keep slavery, but no other nation fought to end slavery. You know what I mean? But either way, we did this. So by 1865, slavery in the Western world was outlawed, completely outlawed. But where was it still continuing? The Ottoman Empire. As a matter of fact, here's a fun fact of history. Do you know how we get the English word slave? From Slavs. You mentioned white slavery. The Ottoman Empire would treat the Slavic countries of Eastern Europe as their own personal candy land. They would go in there, I mean, yearly. It was a thing. They would go in on slave raids, and they would raid these poor villages and take these women because they desired the Western white meat, okay, for their harems. And then they would castrate the males, or they actually came up with the brilliant idea of the janissaries, which we can get into later. Okay, where they took these the young youth, okay, from these villages,
Christian
and they
villages. Make sure
yeah,
you're Christian villages. Make sure
Christian
you have it.
villages, yeah, yeah, but they made them into psychopathic killers, and they rewarded the families for this. So it became a thing of honor. Yes, take my oldest son, my strong boy, and we'll get money if you make him a killer. But that's beside the point. Anyway, do you know when the Ottoman Empire outlawed slavery? Can you take a guess? Anybody? When did they
They never
officially
did.
black slavery? They never did.
Yeah.
They never did. It wasn't until actually there's a picture of Lawrence of Arabia, okay, the Sheikh of Mecca, okay, and somebody else, and in the picture it actually says in the caption his black slave, his African slave, okay, not Lawrence of Arabia, but the Sheikh of Mecca, okay. They never outlawed slavery. We had to destroy the Ottoman Empire, okay, before slavery it actually wasn't even officially abolished. Saudi Arabia officially practiced slavery up until the 1960s, early 1960s, when Kennedy told them, President Kennedy said, yeah, you're going to deny this, but I know you're practicing slavery, and if I come back here next year and you're still practicing slavery, forget it. We're going to have problems.
I need to insert something here. They
What's that?
lied to us. They are still practicing slavery to this day. We are forbidden to go into the slave market area. We are also there's certain areas we're forbidden to go into anymore. I know this because of experiences back in the 1970s, and basically they made an agreement with us, but with all agreements, they always break them.
Where was the Sharon?
In Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay.
And the reason why I joined the Marine Corps was what happened at that point in time when something happened. I'm not going to go into it, but they are still practicing it.
Well, yeah, and it's basically slavery by another name today.
Exactly.
And our country practiced the same thing. It's called peonage, where you would bring somebody in. And what Saudi Arabia is doing is they're practicing a form of slavery against young women from Southeast Asia. They're bringing them in as maids, taking their passports, making them work for nothing, and they're raping them, and they're not letting them go. So there is a form of slavery that exists in Saudi Arabia today. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Correct, but they're also practicing it in other areas, like in Africa, other countries of the Middle East, because the only country who made that agreement, who broke it, was Saudi Arabia. Now, slaves have been caught in the United States, and some of them were Saudis. And one was in my state, California. Another one was in Colorado. Now, during the Obama years, he sent the slavers back. He freed the slaves, but sent the slavers back. And of course, what do? They just continue their slavery ways, But I got a whole page full of links to these stories about the slaves. One was one of the slaves that was released, and he's a black guy, and his story was terrible. But you make agreements with these people, like the Land for Peace, slavery, anything like that. They are always broken. That's just the way it is.
Oh well, no, we can get into the Treaty of Hubadiah.
Hudna. That's a Hudna.
Yeah, but no, slavery is still practiced. I'm not saying it's been outlawed, but I'm saying that when Saudi Arabia, it was officially practiced on the books. Slavery was officially practiced on the books up until 1960s, until Kennedy actually had them, and they actually know it's slavery is chattel slavery is illegal officially on the books. Now, do they do the indentured servant slavery? Yes. Do they do the to take your passports? By the way, I don't know. I don't think Americans, if you go to Saudi Arabia, they take your passport to work there. I don't think they do. I think it's all these other poor countries that they do it to, if I'm not mistaken.
But you're not going to have American women travel to Saudi Arabia to work as a domestic help.
No, of course not.
That's I don't want to say that's beneath them, but the pay is not. I mean, you can make more working at McDonald's than you would for these.
Right. No. But anyway, but the bottom line is this, okay? As far as slavery being outlawed, because you know how Muslims like to say, Islam abolishes slavery. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
As a matter of fact, Islam provides for slavery. Think about this. What they bring up the verse in the Quran. There's actually, I think, 2 of them where it talks about freeing a slave, and it's the form of doing a expedition of sin. Okay. First, you're to slaughter a bunch of animals. If you can't afford to slaughter these animals, you can do this, that, this, that, this. And this is for major sins. But if you can't afford that, then you can free a slave. Think about this. You have now just created a market for slavery. Okay? Because you know what? If I'm going to commit a major sin, like do the zina thing, do the muta marriage, whatever, without doing the muta, okay, I'll just go buy a black slave for, 1 dinar, commit my muta, free this black slave, and I'm absolved of the sin. And then I can go and get another black slave. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's perpetual. Actually, I could buy back the slave I just freed. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. And according to Islam. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, you're just perpetuating slavery in this. There is actually an hadith where Aisha committed a major sin, and think about this: she freed 100 slaves. And Muslims would like to see how wonderful it is. She freed 100 slaves. No, she had 100 slaves to free, and the only reason she freed them is because she committed a major sin against her God. Probably committed adultery. I'm just saying. Okay? But anyway, but didn't say she couldn't get 100 more slaves. And why does this one woman have 100 slaves? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I wanted to bring this contemporaneous thing that Sharon had addressed, was that, that it's still practiced today. I was on a show, a blog talk radio show, a number of years ago. The guys that hosted the show was called Muhammad the Hard Truth Smith. And one of his last shows that he ever did, and I remember this very succinctly, that he was interviewing the sheikh that was on his show. And I had called in to ask the sheikh, what are they going to do if, Sharia ever becomes the dominant law in, let's say, Dearborn, or, if you have a majority there and you have control. And he's like, well, it's just like red zoning, you have to leave because this is the way we're going to operate. But that wasn't the deal. Was that Muhammad had asked the sheikh, that he had made a comment saying that, well, Islam abolishes slavery. And the sheikh corrected him and said, well, no, it does not. It offers examples of malhumation of slaves by Muhammad, but it does not abolish it. It does not say that it's not permissible. And that was one of the last shows that guy did. And he was an African-American gentleman. And I'm thinking, and my thinking is that just completely destroyed his faith. Is that, okay, well, one of the biggest grievances, and rightly so, African Americans have against Christianity, is that European culture forced slavery upon their ancestors here in the Americas. But so they gravitate to Islam, thinking that in Islam never did that. And the fact of the matter is Islam did that exponentially more than what the Christians did. And they did it in the name of their God, and they did it in the name of their prophet, trying to follow his pattern of conduct. So, all right. So what we have here thus far is we've nailed down the fact that this prophet of Islam, this guy that is supposed to be this pattern of conduct for all time, was a murderer. He was a rapist. He was an adulterer. I don't think we really went into ethnic cleansing. What we did touch on was the Bana Kuraiza tribe, where he participated in the chopping off their heads, 600 to 900 of them in one afternoon. And this wasn't just the Bana Kuraiza, it was the Bana Nadir, the Bana Kanuka tribes were also ethnically cleansed out of Medina. And so that sets a standard for ethnically cleansing other lands. And we've seen that all across the Middle East and North Africa and into Asia itself. And that we just got done with slavery. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 12. How about we go to, I don't know. We have thief, pedophile or pervert, liar, incest, torture, or suicide.
Let's go with incest.
There's one thing.
Darcy, go ahead.
Islam actually diminishes the role of woman, despite claiming they worship the ground the women walk on. But they call them half-brained. They need 4 witnesses to the rape or whatever.
Right.
So how can they claim
the treatment of women, how Muhammad treated women, and the treatment of women in Islam,
contrary to what the Muslims claim now?
All right. Let's see here. Women in Islam, wives at marriage, wives and consort, women. All right. Let's go to women. Child marriage, marital price, wife beating. What do you want to talk about? Wife beating, segregation. What do you think? Let's talk about wife beating. Let's just get that over with. And we find this sanctioned, of course. Hold on. Sorry, Wilbur. I'm going to put you over there. We find this in their law, the law book, the beating of women. Peace with Kufar Akbar. All right, Rob. Let's see. Apostasy, marriage, should be around here somewhere. Marriage. If you're going to marry somebody, you got to be able to beat them too, don't you? Oh, here's one. Before we get to beating of the wife, here in Reliance of the Traveler, Division M, Chapter 10, number 3. Okay, and the title of this is Permitting One's Wife to Leave the House. Permitting one's wife to leave the house.
Well, not to defend Islam, but okay, yeah, damn straight.
Here's
You
what
gotta
it
keep
says.
the women in line. You don't
Okay.
go outside
A
the house.
husband may permit his wife to leave the house for a lesson in sacred law, for invocation of Allah, so to learn about Sharia, to pray to Allah, to see her female friends, or to go to any place in the town. A woman may not leave the city without her husband. Then we drop down to number 4.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on, go back. So the woman can leave the house and go any place in the town, right?
That's what it says, right?
Well,
But okay,
see,
now hold on. But it says right here in the next, he may allow her to do that. This is, he said he may permit. It says he may permit his wife.
Oh, he may permit.
Yeah, so you can allow your wife to do this. So it doesn't say that she can't do it. It's just that you have to allow her to do it. However, in the very next section, number 4 here, Division M, Chapter 10, number 4, it says the husband may forbid his wife to leave the home. Because the hadith related by somebody that the Prophet said, it is not permissible, and this is evidently Allah, or not Allah, well, you might as well say the same thing. Muhammad said, it is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah and the last day to allow someone into her husband's house if he is opposed, or to go out if he is averse. I don't know how you derive that from that, but that's what it says. So a husband can tell a wife, you ain't going anywhere. Sit your butt down and, bake me a batch of cookies, or I don't know.
I tuned in this channel because I thought it was against Islam, but here you're just making Islam look good. I mean, keep the women in the house, keep them naked, pregnant, and in the kitchen. They can wear heels. Don't get me wrong. You ladies can still have shoes, but no, you can't be going out. I'm just saying. But no, think about this. Hold on. The woman can't go to the doctor? The woman can't go to the doctor? I'm sorry. Yeah, someone said.
Well, not without her husband. And the doctor has to be a female. Or how's that work out? I can't remember. The husband has to be there or something during the examination.
What you say? Habibi, I want to go to the breast doctor because I got a lump here. And he's like, no, the lump makes your boob look bigger. Get another lump. Seriously. These people are just sick. I'm just saying.
Okay, let's go to the next page.
That's actually a funny joke. The last time
Division
I told that in another room was funny.
Okay, this is like your ethnic cleansing jokes. They're just not funny because they're cruel. That's if you have breast cancer, you want to be treated for that. I mean, you don't want to, say, "Oh, it makes you."
Well, you got killer boobs, baby. You got killer boobs now. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so let's go to the next page. Division Chapter 10, paragraph 12. It says, when a husband, now notice how it starts. Look how this starts off. When a husband notices signs of rebelliousness in his wife, whether in words, as when she answers him coldly, when she used to do so politely, or he asks her to come to bed and she refuses, contrary to her usual habit, or whether in acts, as when he finds her averse to him when she was previously kind and cheerful, he warns her in words without keeping from her or hitting her. He warns her in words without keeping from hitting her, for it may be she has an excuse. The warning could be to tell her, fear Allah concerning the rights you owe to me, the rights you owe to me. You owe me as your husband. You're to treat me, to say, speak to me kindly. You're to come to bed when I tell you to.
Damn straight, woman.
Or
Let's see.
get beat with a toothbrush.
I don't see the toothbrush in here, but it might be here. Okay, fear Allah concerning the rights you owe to me, or it could be to explain that the rebelliousness nullifies his obligations to support her and give her turn amongst the other wives. Wow.
Wait.
Or
say
it
that
could
again.
be.
Say that again. Wait.
Fear Allah
Hold
concerning the rights you. Fear Allah concerning the rights you owe me, or it could be to explain the rebelliousness nullifies. This rebelliousness nullifies his obligation to support her, so he doesn't have to provide her any more financial support anymore, because that's the requirement. If you're going to have a wife, you have to provide her just as much financial support
food
as you do your other wife. Okay, you don't have to support her, and you don't have to give her a turn. She doesn't have to get in the queue with the other wives and has to wait her turn, evidently, because they have.
Hold on.
This day of the week is yours. This day of the week is yours. Da 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 da.
Wait, let's stop there for a second. We got to pause on this one. So, first of all, think about this, because it doesn't say divorce her. It doesn't say, think about this for a second, okay? Doesn't have to support her. Okay, now think about this, especially during this time. Okay, this is when food was supplied on like a daily basis. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so this wasn't like something where he would he would show up with the food, okay, to give her the food so she could eat. So now all of a sudden he can just cut her off of food. She's not going to starve for a couple days until she comes back in line. But now think about this, ladies. If the woman is mad at you, men, okay, the last thing on her mind is thinking, oh my God, you're not going to give me my turn with you? No, seriously, this is how weird this religion is. Yeah, so you're going to wait. First of all, she's pissed at the dude to begin with. Okay, so she's mad. So his retaliation is to sit there and say, first of all, I'm going to starve you, and then I'm going to not have sex with you. Right? How is it? I mean, seriously.
What a blessing.
Yes, exactly. This is a mercy from Allah.
Let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Let me finish this. Okay. So it's support her and give her a turn amongst your other wives. Okay. Or it could be to inform her, your obeying me is religiously obligatory.
Damn straight.
It is religiously obligatory for her to obey the husband. If she commits rebelliousness, he keeps from sleeping with her without words and may hit her. Here
you have a strong pimp hand.
Okay, so an adult man can hit an adult woman, that's his wife, if she commits rebelliousness. If she commits rebelliousness, he keeps from sleeping and having sex with her without words and may hit her. But you can't break bones, you can't wound her or cause blood to flow. However, let's see here. It was down here.
Wait, you can't break bones.
You can't break a bone. You can't give her a bloody nose.
But you can
and then down
marks,
here
right?
in number 3, it doesn't say anything about marks. It says it causes her blood to flow, wound her. He may hit her whether she is rebellious only once or whether more than once, though a weaker opinion holds that he may not hit her unless there is repeated rebelliousness. So it isn't just fearing rebelliousness. There are different opinions on this, but there is no opinion on whether or not you can hit her. Everybody's in agreement that you can hit your wife. It's just that when is that? When you fear rebelliousness, this one says, well, when there is rebelliousness or repeated rebelliousness, then you can go ahead and smack her around. But it goes on to say it is obligatory for a wife to obey her husband as is customary in allowing him full lawful sexual enjoyment of her person.
I don't have an objection to that. I'm just saying. But no, think about this for a second, though. So he can beat her,
If
but
the
it says
wife,
no blood. Yeah, but okay. So let's just say okay. So well, first of all, think about this. If the woman is fully hijabi, okay, fully burqa-fried, how is anybody gonna know if he beat her face to a pulp because she's covered up? So no, and if she's dude, she can't even go out of the house. So how is anybody gonna know? How can she get help? How can she? You know what I mean? Okay, she can't. So he can do whatever the hell he wants to this woman. But let's just go within the confines of what that says. So he can choke her out. He can leave massive bruises and contusions all over her body. You know what I mean? No,
well,
you could,
it's,
but
okay. Let me just finish reading this here.
don't break the ribs, but bruise the ribs. Okay.
Okay, it is obligatory for a wife to obey her husband as customary in allowing him full lawful sexual enjoyment of her person. Let's see here. Okay, if the wife does not fulfill one of the above mentioned obligations, where it says it's obligatory for the wife to obey her husband, she is termed rebellious. So it provides a definition of what rebellious is here. And the husband takes the following steps to correct matters. Then number one, admonition of advice, keeps from her by not sleeping with her. Number two, and then it says right here on page 542, if keeping from her is ineffectual, it is permissible for him to hit her if he believes that hitting her will bring her back to the right path. Though if he does not think so, it is not permissible. His hitting her may not be in a way that injures her and is his last recourse to save the family. So you can beat your wife, but it's only to save the family. I mean, I'm trying to keep this family together, so I have to beat you.
Someone think of the children. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it is. Think of the children.
I'm doing
That's
it
the
for the
children. Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
I'm
I mean, come
beating
on.
you. No,
Yeah.
seriously.
And right here,
dude,
and this is Nico says it right best right here. You're trying to find a joke in here because if it wasn't so despicably heinous, it would be funny. But the fact of the matter is here you have grown men can come up to a woman and hit her. And
no one can say nothing about it.
And that hit exactly nobody can say anything. And this hitting is sanctioned. It's sanctioned by God. This is religious law right here. This is sick, is what it is.
No, wait. Think this is back in the early 2000s. Now, Saudi Arabia may have changed the law technically on the book after this because this is a horrific case. Okay, but there was a man that was beating his wife. His wife called her daddy. Her daddy showed up to stop the man from beating his daughter. Okay? No, this is a whole family clan thing out there. The religious police showed up and arrested the father and his family because they had no right, okay, to intervene with a husband disciplining his wife. Okay? All right, they had no rights to this. So
Yeah.
so the father was arrested, okay, and along with the uncles. I mean, no, this is like a clan thing, a family thing. So there's a bunch of people that tried to intervene here, okay, but they were arrested, and this man beat his wife to death that night, and the police did nothing.
Remember when I
Stood
said
by and watched.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Remember when I said Sharia law abrogates everything? Well, Reliance of the Traveler, that's authorized by Al Azhar University and also by the Muslim Brotherhood Front Group, the IIIT. Well, Sharia law 01.2, the following are not subject to retaliation for killing: a child or an insane person, a Muslim for killing a non-Muslim, for killing an apostate, a father or mother or their fathers or mothers for killing their offspring or offspring's offspring, basically their kid or the grandkids. It also includes their wife. All a man has to say is that my wife committed adultery or anything, and she has to have 3 other witnesses to prove that she didn't do that. And basically, it's a free for all. She can be killed.
Nope. Oh, well, no, that's another thing. Oh, wait. So this law on adultery is so perverse, okay? Because think about this, okay? So Muslims can go either way with this, okay? Although this really isn't kind of true, but it is. Some of the schools, okay, do this. So let's say a man thinks his wife is having adultery with another man. Well, he has to actually, according to the Maliki school, I believe, which is the only school of thought that preaches this or teaches. Now, think about this. Think about how absurd this is. Okay, he has to get 4 male witnesses to witness his total, complete humiliation of his wife actually being penetrated by another man. They actually have to testify that they saw the penetration. What? Now, think about how absurd this is. Okay? You got a guy, his wife is stepping out on him, sleeping with another man. So he's got to call 4 of his buddies to come over and sit in the closet and spy on him. You know what I mean? And sit there and say, well, we actually saw the actual penetration. Think about how absurd this is. But the inverse of that is true. No, the inverse of that is true. So if a man, according to the other schools, if a man accuses his wife of committing adultery, she now has to come up with 4 male witnesses that says it's not true. She didn't commit adultery. Do you see what I'm saying?
How
This is
likely
how
is that
absurd
going
this
to
is.
happen? How many rapists
Exactly.
call a parade to witnesses rape?
Exactly. No, that's the thing. Exactly. So she actually has no. Well, actually, no. It's worse than that. If she's being raped, she has to have 4 male witnesses that say she was raped. I mean, no, it's just so absurd. These laws that they have against women, they really hate women. They really do.
I don't know if you guys have read a book. It was I don't know. It goes into the psychology of Muhammad. Muhammad's father, I mean, it's real questionable. He basically deserted him, and then his mother handed him over to a nurse. Well, the nurse handed him back because the nurse said he had shakes, or probably they think it was probably epilepsy. But the mother ended up dying when he was about 4 or 5. Now, in all of that, the psychology of little children, that means it's like the mother and father deserted him, and there could be a growing hatred. In fact, there's this thing about atheists too, that they're most of the well-known atheists, their fathers have left them, and that just stirs up a lot of hatred, and they just can't see God the Father, that image anymore. But okay.
Actually, I just saw a great lecture by Anthony Rogers. I mean, I just saw it, but I don't remember if it's new. It could be a few months old. But he actually mentions this. He actually says that there are plenty of prophet pretenders out there. There are plenty of hucksters out there and charlatans, and they really don't believe what they are preaching. They're just in it for the money or for the power or for the sex. And Anthony Rogers says, I believe that Muhammad was a clear indication that he had direct, intimate communication with a demon, with demon possession. And he says it's clear. He said, if you look at it, okay, from this point of view, first of all, no, this is like something from The Omen, a bad script from The Omen. If you look at, first of all, his father dies, okay, and then his mother gives him up to be wet nursed by the by an Arab tribe. The Arab woman quickly says no. Okay, no, she's getting paid money for this. So this is where money is scarce. This is a big deal. So she's getting paid serious coin for this, and she says, "No, I'm giving this child back there's something wrong with him. As you said, it was epilepsy. But no, she's saying no, she visited by spirits. In other words, there's an evil spirit around him. Then he's given back, and then all of a sudden his mother dies.
But keep
And
in
there's
mind, they didn't know about epilepsy and fits. And that's what I think the
well,
word is. She handed him back because he had fits.
well, so that could be, but I think this I'm with Anthony Roger. This is serious demon possession. This is serious demonic stuff at work here. In other words, and look at his angel experience, okay? Because every prophet, when they encounter the angel of the Lord or the prophetic spirit, they're choked out. They think that they want to commit suicide. No, this is seriously demonic. But you are right. Oh, but another thing Anthony Rogers brings up, and he's brought this up for a while, is the whole thing on he has a hatred of father. Allah is the father of no one because Muhammad was fatherless. In other words, yes, the atheists they removed because they cannot have this father
Yeah.
figure. They cannot have this because they didn't have this. They were robbed of this. But
Yeah.
anyway, I do believe that Muhammad, if there was a Muhammad, was definitely demon possessed.
Yeah, if there
100%.
was a Muhammad. I don't know. I
Yeah.
have my doubts about it too. But you know, okay, after his mother died, he was handed over to his uncle, and who knows what his uncle did to him. But that's just what
Oh,
I read.
that's where you learn about the muta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, show back to you, Eric.
All right, thank you. What I want to do is I want to cover the last part of this and talk about the most disgusting part. And we've talked about this several times on this show, but anybody with any sense of decency can recognize that what Muhammad did to little Aisha it's just inexcusable. There's nothing that you can do to offer up that this guy was any type of decent man, a prophet of any type to follow. And we find it in the Hadith literature, but we also find it in the Quran. And this is what I find very, very disgusting. In the Quran, in chapter 65, verse 4, it talks about what you have to do for divorce in order to divorce a woman and how long they have to wait. What is their iddah, their period? Their 3 year, you have to, if you're going to divorce them, you have to, before you release them, you have to wait at least 3 months, 3 cycles, menstrual cycles, before they can be completely released from you as a wife, because they might still be pregnant. And they don't want that possibility, which is kind of a noble thought. This is true. But, look at the criteria that is listed in the Quran, in the word of the God of the universe, in his last word to mankind. Look what he writes about who these women are that you can divorce. And those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, i.e., those women who have gone through menopause. You have to still give them, or you don't have to give them the 3 months. If you doubt, then their period time is 3 months. So if you don't know for sure that they have gone through menopause, then you have to give them 3 months. But if they are, if they have gone through menopause and you know this, then you don't have to give them the 3-month period. And also those who have not menstruated. Who are females that have not menstruated? These are prepubescent children who have not menstruated. You can divorce them. So what does that mean if you can divorce a prepubescent child, or you have to wait for a prepubescent child to check to see if they menstruated? That means that, number one, you can marry a prepubescent child. And number two, and this is the important thing to understand, Allah of the universe, the God of the universe, is providing you a provision to divorce that little girl that you crawled on top of and had sex with when she was a prepubescent little child.
Wait,
What
but the reason,
but
the reason for this, hold on. The reason for this is to make sure that she's not pregnant with your child. Remember, Muslims like to say that Islam is a miracle, scientific miracles. They don't understand that prepubescent little girls cannot get pregnant. I mean, seriously, Allah is just...
okay, and that might be true, but all the tests that accompany this Ibn Abbas, Al-Jalalain, Ibn Kathir, all confirm, all the Tafsir. Don't give me this crap, well, what does the Tafsir say? Go ahead and read it. They all say that these are girls who have not yet menstruated because they're too young. That's prepubescent.
I want to make a point here. Personally, me, I was 16 before I started that. So Muslims seem to think that you have to be really young. You could be 10, and then if you haven't started menstruating, something wrong with you. They seem to think every female starts menstruating at a young age.
Well, what we know, Darcy, is that in previous environments, many women would not menstruate until their mid-teens or late teens, and the reason, and when you do this, you start when your body grows, and your body does not grow as fast if you do not have a high protein diet. In the West today, we see girls menstruating real early all over the place. Why? Because we have this ability to have a high protein diet, and a lot of it deals with body weight. Well, if you're not eating all the time, your body weight is not going to increase as rapidly, and therefore you're not going to menstruate as early as they do today. So the fact is that the science says the opposite. And the other fact is that the God of the universe, this sicko freak that they call Allah, has a provision in his word to this other sicko freak who participates in this. Oops, I'm sorry. Let me put this back up here. I clicked that. I got to go anyway. I got to get to church. But this other sicko freak, where'd it go? Right there. Muhammad allows it, and that is what, or not allows it, engaged in it. And how do we know that? Well, all we have to do is go through the Hadith. We go through the Hadith. Where does it say? Ibn Majah says that Aisha said, she was there, by the way, marriage with her when she was 9 and passed away when she was 18. Al-Nasi says that she was 9 and he died when she was 18. Nasi again says, I was 9 and I lived with him for 9 years. Al-Nasi says, the messenger of Allah married me when I was 6 and consummated the marriage with me when I was 9. And then Abu Dawood, he had intercourse with me when I was 9. So all of these ahadith, people who write this ahadith literature, said that she was 9.
Okay, can we go back further? When Aisha was a baby, Muhammad saw her and it's like, I'm going to marry you, little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that. And that's, again, this is just when we've gone through, I don't know if in this slideshow, do I list the criteria for pedophilia? I don't have that down there. But this meets the criteria for pedophilic behavior. So what we've done today, and I have to go. What time? Yeah, I really have to go. I'm late now. We've identified at least 7 different areas of Muhammad's life where there's no way that you should consider him a prophet of any kind. You should be running as far as you possibly can from the teachings of this man. When you look at what's in the Sharia, the law that pertains to women, to slaves, to beating your wife, all of these things, you need to run away from it as fast and as far as you possibly can, because it's obvious that there's obviously some type of demonic inspiration on all of this. Nobody says it's okay to murder somebody else because they criticize you. Nobody says that it's okay to beat your wife when you think that she might be rebellious. Nobody says that it's okay to go out and enslave people or rape the women that you have captured. And of course, nobody says that it's okay to engage in some type of perverted sexual activity with a little girl when you're 53 years old. If you cannot see that,
body or a dead body.
Shut up. I knew you were going to get
You
that
know.
in. I just knew. Anyway, nobody says that you can do that. Search your soul and your conscience and your sense of morality and decency. And you'll clearly see that this guy was not a prophet of any type. He was nothing more than a demonically possessed, inspired person trying to get you to run away from the Lord Jesus Christ and what he taught us to do. Search your soul, search your heart. You might find
evil.
Christ. Yes. All right,
Amen.
I got to run, folks. I got to get to church. Thank you, everybody that participated in chat today. Everybody on the panel that came in.
Please comment. Please comment if you like this better than the slideshow. I'm just saying.
I had part of a slideshow in here.
Yeah, but it wasn't like just
whatever. You're a hater.
And I know my joke on the killer boobs didn't go over well on you, but it is really funny.
No, it's not.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It's funny.
It's just like you're. It's where was it? It was like, where did it go? Where I don't see it. I must have deleted it out of the thing here. Where's the cold case thing? Cold close. Where is that?
Cold close? Yeah, the cold close.
Hold on, let me find it. Hold on, let me find it. Let me find it. I don't see it. Did you delete it?
I better not have, because that was
here it is.
Jerry.
All right. God bless you. We'll see you all next week on the Crossing the Crescent discussion.
Advanced, student, and specialist. That the standard narrative has holes. That's what
that the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.